Which brings us to our stock of the day. Now, interestingly, it was already on the list, but then came out with news this morning. It is WiseTech, with shares surging on news that co-founder Richard White has stepped down as executive chair, effective immediately, with independent director Raylene Murphy appointed as chair. Richard White has released a statement saying recent media attention has become a distraction for the logistics software company. And the stock is down close to 70% in FY26. There we go. Recent personal media attention creating unnecessary distraction on the strength of the business. I'm conscious that personal attacks on me and the media that are unconnected to the performance of the company nevertheless have the potential to encourage short selling activity. And Michael begs the question, why is he only just realised that?
It's there's some hallmarks. I feel like we kind of heard this before, maybe going back a couple of years almost now, where he was going to stand down, then he didn't, then he actually became the stand-in CEO for a bit. There are again some similarities with MinRes with this as well, where the chairman was going to stand down, didn't. So we'll see. WiseTech's one of these businesses that we've held, probably our worst performer over the last 12 months. There's been a couple of false starts with this where it's looked okay technically, so we've been jumping around, sort of not completely out, but just trimming and adding throughout the last 12 months. Look, it's been dominated by governance issues, but it's also been thrown into the SaaS apocalypse sell down, I think accelerated and accentuated things, but beneath the surface it's a very good business, very, very dominant in its space. It's done a couple of good acquisitions, more recently the acquisition of E2 Open that expands the offering that they're able to provide and expands their addressable market. But the numbers continue to be okay for this company. So far you could argue that the governance issues haven't really flown into the operational side of the business, and I think many in the markets would be feeling as though this offers some clean air for the company and the focus to return back onto the company itself, which is the cheapest it's been in a long, long time, and the growth outlook remains well and truly intact. That being said, it is a very large acquisition that they've undertaken. They're going to have to incorporate that business and demonstrate that that's on track to deliver as they have planned. The business has also been noted for having some rather large cuts to their workforce with the implementation of AI. And again, the market will be looking to see how that's progressing and whether there's been any clear benefits stemming from that. So, yeah, look, it's a business that's been down in the dumps, but one that we think long-term has potential still.
So would you buy it?
Yes, we would.
Okay, given you already own it too, of course. Shawn, what have you done with it?
Okay, we've held it, and like Michael, that was one I alluded to earlier. We wish we hadn't, but if we hadn't held it, we would be buying now. So that's the first, the conclusion before I give you the reasons why. This is a stock that has been hit with three big headwinds. It's a world-class company, there's no two ways about it, but it's been hit with the AI disruption trade in a major way. It did a big purchase, which more than $3 billion purchase that Michael touched on, that arguably it did at the top of the software value cycle. So although it bought a great company that dovetails very well into what it's doing, it probably paid overs now. It probably could buy the same business for $2 billion rather than paying $3 billion. And of course, we've had these huge issues of a billionaire behaving badly. Now, I won't go into details about that, but it has been a bit of a saga. It's probably been an ongoing saga more than we saw with MinRes, which Michael alluded to before. And what's just happened again today, to me, is no different to what we've heard a few times. But what it might do is open the doors to some of the larger super funds, which as soon as things started going wrong, they just had to get out. They're not allowed to hold stocks that are breaking governance like this for good reason, and they're probably all very, very glad they got out when they did. But now they'd still be looking back and saying, well, is that good enough? I wouldn't be surprised if they say no, but it's probably good enough for the short sellers to start covering. And that in itself has seen a good pop. I think it was almost up 10% today. So this is a great company. It needs to just stabilise. It'd be nice if it's not in the news for 6 months. Just show us some earnings, show us some integration if you take over. Richard White, focus on your personal life separate to the business. He's obviously a very, very a brilliant man. There's no two ways about it. He's created a phenomenal company. And hopefully he's still able to focus on the company even though it's a slightly different position he's in. And we still think it's a great company. But volatility is still likely to come through. But these are probably very good levels to buy at.
All right, double buy then for WiseTech. Yeah, you'd have to say there are a lot of aggrieved shareholders, maybe you two among them too, given, look, a lot of this seemed to be avoidable, essentially, didn't it?
Well, if they sped up the process a little bit and nipped it in the bud and maybe had the same sort of media relations team that maybe MinRes had, they could have handled it a little bit better and more swiftly, and it'd all be behind us. But instead it's continued to drag on and on. So
You've got a slightly different side. You got Richard White has got an enormous holding in WiseTech.
Yeah.
Is it 40%? You've got your phone there, but
Yeah.
it's significantly higher than what Chris Ellis has got in MinRes.
Yep.
So by definition, he's probably got a far bigger influence, which in hindsight has made some big mistakes.
All right, well, there you go. That is a double buy for our stock of the day, WiseTech.